Secretary of State Rex Tillerson detailing the United States' ongoing efforts to deal with the threat from North Korea. And while Tillerson expressed a desire for a diplomatic solution, he also noted that military options are still on the table, which is what we always hear here, and that the U.S. is using large sticks, not carrots, to get Kim Jong Un to the table. Tom Rogan is the Washington Examiner commentary writer, and he joins me now. Tom, good to see you again. How did you assess Tillerson in this interview? Do you think he's on the right track?
Well, good to be with you, Martha. I think he is on the right track in terms of the broad theme of trying to pursue this diplomatically. But the problem is, if you look at South Korea being very much detached now from the Trump administration's tougher approach to dealing with North Korea, if you look at the timeline, probably less than 6 months now to a credible ICBM plus warhead capability on the North Korean side, and the Chinese still not doing really anywhere near enough, I think his notion of how successful diplomacy is at the moment is one that is not borne out by the facts.
Yeah, and as you point out, the time frame looks to be somewhere around 6 months. I've heard as early as this summer, and the big looming issue is to have that nuclear-capable warhead on an ICBM missile. And the capability looks like they're heading in that direction. So it's not like we have all the time in the world here. If we need to step it up, what do you recommend?
Well, look, no, I think that's the point. And I think the critical element here is if you look at the history of late-term development of ICBMs, it's about the heat shields, it's about re-entry, it's about targeting, it's basic stuff. But what should we do? Well, I think the first thing President Trump needs to do is to tweet at President Xi and say, listen, you of China, that you have failed the United States here, you pledged to be a partner, you have not done that. So we're going to sell a lot more high-end equipment to Taiwan and India. We're going to push for India to enter the nuclear suppliers group. We're going to change the balance of power. Also, sanctioning Chinese financial entities that act as cutout, as clearinghouses for the North Koreans that keep them alive, and interdicting, quite frankly, cargo vessels that are providing for some limited exports and imports for the North Korean economy.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I can imagine the backlash if the president started tweeting foreign policy at President Xi. But you think that's exactly what he should do?
Well, yes, because what else are we going to do? If we're running down the clock, the only other option is the military option, which is prospectively catastrophic, or we live with a North Korea that can threaten ICBM destruction of an American city. And so I think, no, you've got to, the Chinese are realists, you've got to play them at their own game.
Play hardball
and play hardball.
Yeah.
And that's the way diplomacy will work.
So the North Koreans, to the Olympics for just a moment in the 30 seconds that I have left. The scary suggestion is that some of them, because of their failure to bring home a medal, could see some very serious ramifications, including ending up in a work camp. Do you think that's a realistic possibility for them?
Fortunately, at least for those North Korean athletes, I don't think so now, because the functional issue is that North Korea has seen the diplomatic opportunity with the South Koreans especially to say, look, we're not that bad, and that helps them buy time again on the slower track in diplomacy instead of tougher action.
On the upside. Tom Rogan, thank you very much, Tom. Good to see you tonight.